Okay, we need to talk about TF2. Nobody cares about the intro. For a game like Team Fortress 2, or any game for that matter, there comes a time where the developers of the game really have a job they need to get done. That time has come for TF2 a few times, but TF2's current state is the only time that I think I've ever seen where a fantastic game is neglected for this long. TF2 now has actual competition for its role, and while I think that no game will ever have the raw power needed to take down a supergiant that is, at this point, synonymous with TF2, I don't think there is any game on Earth that has reworked an entire genre while simultaneously setting the bar. You can see it anywhere with almost every game now. Skins and MOBAs, cosmetic items for games like Dota, Paladins, Smite, Overwatch, Portal 2, Warframe, Counter-Strike, Robocraft, Brawlhalla, Guns of Icarus, Nothgos, Orcs Must Die. It even had an influence on COD, a game that is so genre-defining and is used as the placeholder game for most people who aren't gamers think when someone says first-person shooter. This doesn't count as gaming.
What?
That's what all those gaming media specialist asshats of a journalism major call video games. I can see why people like that have that view of us from the outside. COD is not a hard game, it's stupidly easy to play, and the difficult maneuver that COD is most well known for is just a stylish way of making it harder for you to hit a shot. On the other hand, we have the supergiant granddaddy of all modern FPSs, where the hardest maneuver is God's greatest gift of an engine exploit. Rocket jumping. The reason I can still technically call myself a scout main even though I have more hours on soldier. The most complex repeatable maneuver is something so fun and something that TF2 has done so right. It's better than any other game I've ever played or seen played. Something like rocket jumping takes hundreds of hours to perfect and is the most versatile movement mechanic in any game ever. And I think that a game's lifespan depends on something like that. Things like that. Things that can soak up hundreds of thousands of hours and still be fun to do. Games like League, Dota, and TF2 have survived so long because there's new content constantly being added to these games, and there's always something you can do to perfect the special way you play a character or the ways that you play the whole game. TF2 is not specifically new characters, but rather the development team focuses on new weapons. The new weapons and balances and updates give way for so many complex tactics, playstyles, and maneuvers. I can name an endless amount of things that people who have put several hundred hours into TF2 to know about. Things like crit heals, trick stats, decloak sounds, what weapons are respawn, weapons are actually figuring out what weapons do damage, Razorback and why it's used, how to switch Darwin's dangers, why you don't stand still, why you don't stand Ubers, actually figuring out what most of the weapons do. Things like this that are necessary to know if you're going to play competitive Team Fortress 2, or even Team Fortress 2 seriously. All of these things are more easily learned outside of the game, which begs the question, if you have to spend all this time learning shit outside of the game, who has time to spend inside the game? Which brings me back to one of the first topics of the video, rocket jumping. It's one of those things that keeps me from uninstalling TF2 completely, and one of the things that makes me like TF2 more than Overwatch. Things like rocket jumping and making it harder to hit the healer is broken down into less flexible, less versatile presses of a button. I think that the most important thing Valve needs to do right now is get out from behind the wall of money they've accumulated and started fixing up TF2. The reason games like Dota and CS do so well is because they're constantly updated. In cases like League of Legends, that's the only game the development team has to work on and balance. Which is why I question how Riot Game can be so bad at that. In closing, TF2 will always be, in my opinion, the best game ever made, and it has left a permanent impact on my mind. It has had an impact on my social life and has gotten me interested in so many new things and so many new people that I can only play it back by putting so many hours into the game. And I still enjoy it. If you could see my Steam account, it is by far my most played game on Steam with over 1,600 hours, and my next most played game only has about 300. TF2 has the perfect mix of personality, fantastic writing, amazing community, and actual core gameplay that has led me to put this many and counting hours into the game. It is sad to see it start heading down the drain in the way that it is. Valve's been neglecting the game for a while, and they don't seem to understand that the only thing killing TF2 is itself.
What?